The 2025 AFL Grand Final is set. Geelong will play Brisbane in a Grand Final matchup we have never seen before, although if we look just 3 weeks in the past, the two clubs face off against each other in the qualifying final. The last time this happened was back in 2018, where West Coast defeated Collingwood in Perth, and then in an epic Grand Final beat them again at the MCG. Both sides have had different paths to this point. It's been far more smooth sailing for Geelong in the back half of the season, whereas Brisbane have been incredibly resilient in the face of adversity. One team will be rested, while the other will be more battle-hardened. Brisbane are going for a premiership defence, while Geelong are looking to add a third premiership in the Chris Scott era. Let's start with the Grand Final favourites in Geelong. They are set up almost perfectly. Their 30-point prelim final win over modern-day rivals in Hawthorn was incredibly clinical, albeit for a shaky start. That first 10 minutes was unlike Geelong, but after quarter time, their trademark composure, tackling pressure and structure stood up against a very strong Hawthorn team. But it was sparked by one man, Captain Patrick Dangerfield. Was it his best game ever at 35 years old? If not, it was top 5 at least in the context of its importance. He kicked Geelong's first goal of the night just as they needed one to calm the Hawks' storm. From then on, he just won seemingly every contest, whether it was in the air or on the ground, in the midfield or inside 50. He attended roughly 40% of the centre bounces on the night, but did so much damage forward of the ball and was just so consistent. 31 disposals, 20 of which were contested, 11 ground balls, 13 score involvements, and 3 goals. Those numbers still don't tell the full picture of his dominance. Sam Mitchell post-game jokingly said, "I'm ready for Dangerfield to retire." Sure, he had help from Max Holmes, who had his bursts, Bailey Smith, who racked up a ton of the ball again, and Tom Atkins, who looked after Jai Newcombe, but Dangerfield was the one to ignite his team. They followed the captain's lead. Geelong dominated the inside 50 battle 66-40 and mauled the Hawks on ball, winning 50 clearances to 33. Geelong got in Smith and gave Holmes more on-ball rotation to help increase the production of their on-ball unit, and it stood up in a preliminary final. But the night didn't come without a fallen soldier. Veteran Tom Stewart has become the first victim of concussion to miss out on a grand final because of the protocols. He went down midway through the first quarter and will be the heartbreak story for Geelong. It's not so much the protocols people have been concerned about, but that pre-finals bye. For situations like these, it makes the argument to have it between the preliminary final and grand final much easier. Geelong, however, will be without their star defender, although they did manage his absence well in the prelim. But the preliminary final win was built over the last 10 weeks. Geelong have now won 9 of their last 10, they only lost to bogey side GWS, and the easier fixture in the back end of the season has been put to good use. The Cats had no slip-ups and were able to manage and rotate their squad effectively. It does have similarities to 2022, where the Cats went undefeated from round 10 onwards all the way to a premiership. They have experience and understand how to best prepare a squad for a September campaign. They have done it again and have one more hurdle to overcome. That hurdle is the Brisbane Lions. Now, a 29-point preliminary final win at the MCG over Collingwood probably doesn't tell the full story. With half a quarter left, this huge non-call for Jamie Elliott swung the game. It might have got Collingwood within a goal, but the ball went up the other end and Charlie Cameron snapped home the game breaker. Would Brisbane have won anyway? Probably, but it was a turning point. Overall, Brisbane were the better team. Really, that 6-0 second quarter was the best Collingwood offered, and the score for the rest of the game combined read 4-5 to 15-7. Like the Geelong and Hawthorn final, the midfield and stoppage game was the difference. In the pivotal third quarter that swung momentum the Lions' way, they kicked a plethora of 450 stoppage goals through Bailey, McCluggage and Ashcroft. Those goals ended up roughly equaling the margin of the game. The Lions won clearances 45-36 as well, and just had more field position for more of the game. Then the other big factor was one of their captains in Harris Andrews. He was the third highest rated player on the ground and a total game wrecker. 18 disposals, half of which were intercept possessions and 13 marks. Just like Dangerfield led Geelong, he led Brisbane with authority and was even more important with Lachie Neale's absence. They've had to do it the long way again, but it's now 3 grand finals in a row for Brisbane. It's been achieved through resilience. We saw it in 2024, overcoming early season injuries and coming from behind in that semi-final against GWS. This year, the Lions were able to finish third and overcome just as many key injuries. Lachie Neale and Eric Hipwood have been the main two of late, but don't forget about important defender Noah Answorth, who is having a sensational season, and big key defender Jack Payne, who's been a stalwart beside Harris Andrews. They have 4 regular first team members out, and to cover them has been impressive. It's helped them discover Ty Gallop, who looks to be another talented young key forward, and allowed academy player Sam Marshall to develop nicely, who played one of his best games in the prelim. It really has been the opposite to Geelong, who have been able to manage their plays well, while the Lions have had to scrap and claw their way the long way again to get to this grand final. Maybe that's the way Fagan and his team like to do it. So to the matchup itself, it's looking like most things are in Geelong's favour. They are more rested and seem more healthy. Now Tom Stewart is a big out, and Jack Henry might have a foot concern, but besides that, they seem okay. Dangerfield and the whole midfield has peaked at the perfect time, and their small forwards are as dangerous as ever. Remember, they also beat the Lions in that qualifying final, in arguably the best performance so far in the finals. So, can Fagan and his coaching team win the game of chess this time around? We saw in the qualifying final, Mullen shut down McCluggage, and O'Connor do a terrific job on Rayner. Now the Lions will know this is coming again, so how can they adapt and try to get an advantage? Perhaps they just back both players in to beat their opponents. There will also be questions around Lachie Neale and Jared Berry. At the time of recording this, it's looking likely Neale will get a game in a miraculous fashion after initially being ruled out of the season after that first final. It's always a risk to take a potentially underdone player in, but with Berry and his troublesome shoulder popping out again, there seems to be a place for Neale in this team. Who knows, maybe Berry can somehow play, but sub Bruce Reville played well and is a like-for-like wingman. Before that qualifying final, Brisbane did win the last 5 games against the teams, so that's something to factor in. It's been 2 different journeys for Geelong and Brisbane, but they now meet in the ultimate game of 2025. Hopefully for the millions watching, we can get a thrilling game on Saturday afternoon.